Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the African American History and Women's History Month in February and March of 1011, sorry about that. And we have with us a special guest, a guest who I would like to introduce to my audience this morning as my granddaughter, Miss Alana McLaughlin. And of course, McLaughlin, let me welcome you to the show this morning, Alana, and tell you how delighted we are to have you here, and to let our audience know that it is indeed a privilege that we are able to have you with us this morning, because for the last 2 years, you've been over my shoulder and almost insisting that somehow Pawpaw, as you refer to me, provide a situation that will allow you to sit in that seat. And I think over the last couple of years that I've seen you develop to such an extent that I've felt comfortable in a real sense in introducing you to my audience, which I've had for the last 28 or 29 years. And they are familiar with what we do here, but I can assure you that they've never seen a young person as young as you on Comments with Dr. James Haney this morning. So let's, this morning, Alana, open up our show by having you to give us some information about your family life, some information about your school, information about your church, and perhaps then talk about African-American women in history as well as others. Now, let's talk, Alana.
Yes. Well, my name is Alana McLaughlin. I am 8 years old, and I go to Glen Enhanced Option School.
Very good. And in addition to going to a Glen Option School, why don't you tell me something about your family?
Well, my mother is Cheryl L. Haney. My father is Michael L. McLaughlin. My grandmother is Mildred J. Haney. And my grandfather is Dr. James E. Haney.
Very good. And of course, you also quite recently had a tragic situation in your family in reference to your grandmother. Why don't you say something about your departed grandmother for us this morning?
My grandmother was named Louise McLaughlin. She recently passed, and she will always be loved and missed.
Very good. And of course, we're glad to have you to sort of represent her, because I think what you're talking about what you'd like to talk about this morning also includes your school. You're 8 years old, and you've attended a number of schools since you started school. And why don't you talk about the first school that you attended during the preschool, and perhaps say something about the first, second, and third grade. And you might say something about that great report card that you received at the end of this term. Talk about your activity in school, Alana.
Well, I started my education at Napier Enhanced Option School with teacher Mr. Downey as my pre-K teacher and principal Michael Ross.
Very good. And then you went from there to your second grade. And where was your second grade spent? And who was the teacher there that had some influence on you? Talk about them.
Well, in kindergarten, I had a teacher, Pat Harfield. Then I had a first grade teacher, Mrs. Jennifer Berry, and principal, Brenda Steele.
And all of them played a very, very important part in your life. As a matter of fact, I think they allowed you to speak every morning on the loudspeaker in the school, did they not?
Announcements.
You made announcements. You made announcements to
a
lot of announcements. Now, what about your third grade? You're in the third grade now.
I am. Well, I started at Glen Enhanced Option School for the second grade with teacher Trudy Vest, and now my current teacher is Miss Wendy Anderson for the third grade.
And you've got a good principal there and everything?
Laura Snyder.
Very good. And so you're really making progress in school. Why don't you tell us about that great report card that you got quite recently?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I got all A's.
Okay, and very good. And so what? And I understand that you're reading on the fifth grade level, are you not?
I am a 44.
Very good. And you're also involved in piano. Why don't you tell us something about your piano career?
Well, I take piano lessons at Shalom Music Center with teacher Pat Turner.
Good. And you've also had some recitals, I understand.
I have.
Well, why don't you tell us something about that, about some of your experiences doing those recitals?
Well, I've had a lot of experiences such as playing in front of a lot of people at McKendrick Village.
Very good. And speaking of McKendrick Village, that is also one of the churches that you've been affiliated with. In addition, why don't you say something about your church?
Well, I go to John Wesley United Methodist Church with Pastor Elijah McGee and First Lady Sheila McGee. I also acolyte and attend Sunday school with Miss Cecilia James.
Very good. And so you're having some experience, and you're also a member of the children's choir there.
I am.
From what I understand.
And dance class.
And as well as the dance class. And you're too modest to admit that you were, what, the homecoming queen?
Yep, last year I raised the most money.
Okay, that made you the homecoming queen because you were able to raise the most money. Very good. And that's your introduction to church life, Alana. Also, Alana, I think that since this is one of the last things we have, and let us thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you. Thank you, and good morning.